Hello, Watem here, welcome back to my Umineko When Seagulls Cry. On this note, let's continue.
そんなバカな。
I guess you can just go have a quick look at the start of outline. Or not, apparently, okay.
まあまあ
Maybe now?
お父様がすでに亡くなっている。そんなバカな。
They found out before this, what's it called? Before this new, family conference. I wonder when exactly?
例えの話や
Okay.
武田信玄はその死を3年の間秘密にするよう遺言したっちゅう有名な故事があるやろ。
I have no idea who that is, but sure.
知らんか。
そんな話もあったかしら。日本史はよくわかんないわ。
当時武田は織田や徳川との戦の真っ最中だった。
Ah, okay.
そこで信玄が死んだなんて話になったら戦況に悪影響が出るやろ。そやから自分の死を3年隠すように遺言したんや。
Specifically 3 years, not after the war plus some extra time? Like a month after the war ends or something like that? I feel in Western history there was something similar, except like the person literally just stayed alive for the whole time until war or something ended and then went, okay, yep, that's that done, and then died shortly after.
秀吉かてそうやで。主君織田信長の死を敵方に知られんように徹底的に情報規制を行い、素早く毛利と和解して中国大返しを行い明智を討ったんやないか。一方の柴田勝家はそこで失敗したんや。敵の上杉に信長の死を知られ思わぬ反撃を受けて足止めを食らい、その後の秀吉との後継者争いで大きく遅れを取ることになったんや。
Hideyoshi, who had a strong fascination with the commanders of the Sengoku period, would always show off his knowledge when he got the chance. Wincing slightly, Evan made him get back to his point.
早い話が、わしは去年の親族会議からずっと違和感を持っとったんや。
あれは私やルドルフが遺産の話をしてたのを廊下のお父様に聞かれてしまって、それで。
そこや。夏井さんや使用人たちはどこそこにお父さんがいた、不機嫌そうだったと口を揃えたが、わしら親族は誰一人お父さんを見てないんやで。
もしあなたの想像が本当ならどういうこと？
If they that you won't be seeing them or something like that, then you can almost be certain that he's dead? I don't know.
兄さんが遺産の独り占めを狙ってるということ？
Well, we can't hide it forever, is the thing.
もちろん死んだことを隠すなんてかなり危険なことや。果たして遺産を独り占めするためだけにそれだけのことをクラウスさんがやってのけるのか、わしも確信は持てん。だが可能性はある。
確かに兄さんは昔から強欲よ。兄弟全員でと受け取ったものを着服するなんてよくあることだったわ。
クラウスさんはわしら兄弟の中では一番裕福なはずや。そんなクラウスさんがお父さんの死を隠すなんて危険を冒してまで遺産の独り占めを目論むとは、わしにはちょいと信じられんのだがな。だがそう疑いたくなるくらい去年の親族会議はおかしかったんやで。
He might also be having money problems, so I'm guessing where he's going. And the others were painfully aware of how reckless it would be to try and see Kinzo when he was in a bad mood. Though during last year's family conference, once they heard about Kinzo getting into a terrible mood, they never made an attempt to contact him. That was why, to this very day, they hadn't found it suspicious that Kinzo had never appeared.
確かに疑ってみる価値はあるわね。でも本当に兄さんがお父様の死を隠すなんて大それたことをするかしら。
I mean, as he said earlier, it's with the other person having it in their will to hide their death. Maybe, just maybe, Kinzo would do something like that. He is weird.
傲慢なくせにおかしなところで小心な人よ。そんな一世一代の大博打を本当にするかしら。
Now, is this perhaps when they're going to bring up Natsuhi? Natsuhi might, but she wouldn't be as greedy as to want the whole inheritance, so there has to be a reason, and it would be more likely that they're delaying?
いずれにせよ、今年の会議ではきっちりお父さんのご尊願を拝謁した方がええやろな。
Oh, I'm sure you'll meet with him. His dead body, at least. Maybe. But not really, actually.
非常に良くない噂さ。
Actually, you know, they'll meet him in the afterlife, maybe.
どうやら兄貴の事業は俺たちの想像を超えて手ひどく失敗してるらしい。相当の損失を抱えてて、表向きを取り繕うだけで精一杯らしい。
つまりクラウスさんからお金を借りるのはとても難しいことというわけね。
ああ、泣けてくる。
クラウスさんにとって経済的に困窮していることはある種の弱みにはならないの？
弱み？そりゃ投資家は超えてるから投資家なんだぜ。実は金欠だなんてことになったら誰も見向きもしねえ。
So, where is he getting his money from?
信用第一の世界なのね。
Irie smiled thinly. Rudolph was taken aback by that smile. He figured that his plan, which involved raising money to get him out of his current mess by borrowing from the affluent Kraus, would all come to nothing now that the new Kraus himself was in financial trouble.
クラウスさんの信用はクラウスさんのこれからのお仕事に必要だろうけれど、私たちのこれからには必要ないわ。
兄貴をゆするってのか。
私だったら嫌よ。血のつながった兄弟を貶めるなんて。
She then proceeds to laugh. Rudolph felt a shiver go up his spine at Kirei's cold smile. At times, Kirei was able to throw away all compassion and think in an extremely ruthless manner. Whenever he saw that, Rudolph knew he'd never like to have her as his enemy. So make sure
他
you
に
don't...
金策があるなら、お兄さんを脅迫なんてしたくないものだわ。
Definitely make sure you don't cheat on her.
あったら悩んだりしねえ。
選択の余地のない問題で悩むのは人生の無駄だと思わない？
Rudolph stopped talking, folded his arms, and lowered his gaze. He still felt some of the terror he'd experienced thanks to Kraus's violence when they were young. And now that same Kraus was one he needed to threaten. Rudolph would also be fighting against his childhood trauma. So, to give her husband a little push, Kirei smiled reassuringly. Oh, that's totally what that smile is. And perhaps coldly.
つくづく信用で仕事をしたくないものだわ。信用ほど積み上げるのに苦労して失う時が一瞬なんて割の合わない投資はない。
I like trust.
そうだな。世の中100の信用より1枚の診察だ。
クラウスさんが大きな損失を出していると言っても、 私たちの急場をしのぐためのお金くらいは十分用意できるはず。もちろんクラウスさんのこれまでの信用を換金してお金を作ってもらうことになるけれど。
こいつはやばい話になるな。
十分な備えが必要よ。私たちには時間も失敗も許されてない。そうだったわね。私の京都の友人たちにそういうのを洗うのが上手な人たちがいるわ。
Is this perhaps where we're going to get introduced to that blue-haired character?
あまり世話になりたくない連中なんだけど、一度会ってもらってもいい？領収書は切れないけど、きっと投資に見合うだけのものを調べ上げてくれるわ。
So, are we going to see
ええ、
Rose's point of view of this as well? Yes, okay.
マリアも元気よ。
I don't think... So this is their planning going into the family conference, but... So... Ever and Hideyoshi concerning that Kinzo is dead. Meanwhile, Rudolph and Kirie are more thinking just that Kraus's business is failing and they won't be able to borrow money from him. Not necessarily that Kinzo is dead. I wonder what Rose's perspective on it will be.
そちらは大きなお世話よ。ありがとう。
That's none of your business, thank you? Or was there something said to her in between, maybe?
さあ、スケジュールを見てみないとわからないけど。
Who is this? Oh, Rudolph, okay. Rose was talking to Rudolph over the phone. Thank you for answering my question, game. Rosa rarely received calls from her older siblings, so she braced herself for something serious.
実はな、
お？
次の親族会議についてちょいと兄貴抜きで意見を調整したいんだ。
エヴァ姉さんとルドルフ兄さんと私の3人で頭痛の増えそうな話ね。
電話じゃ詳しくは話せない。
だが、
お前にとって聞く価値のある話のはずだ。
それはいい話？
Yes and no.
もちろん。姉貴は乗り気だぜ。
姉さんが？
ローザには賛同してほしいだけだ。金を出せとかそういう話じゃない。俺たち3人が全員結束してることがまず大事。
Don't you love coalitions and alliances?
わかるな。
Ah, dear. Rosa let out a sigh. She did so because, in the past, when Rudolph and Eva got into a fight with Kraus, they always used to talk to her like this right before dragging her into it.
先に教えて。その話は私も得をする話よね。
ああ、俺たち3人で2億ずつせしめる。うまくいけばそれ以上も引っ張れるかもしれない。お前の借金それでチャラだろ。
それはいつまでにせしめられるの？
もちろん年度内だ。俺も助かる。姉貴も助かる。
And you need it.
そしてローザも助かるってわけだ。三方丸く収まる。
姉さんが話に乗るくらいには勝算があるのね。
話を聞く気になったか？ちょいと急だが、次の日曜日の19時に銀座のお前のお気に入りの喫茶店で会おう。俺と姉貴の予定がそこでしか会わねえ。問題ないか
？2億捻出できる話なら聞かないわけにはいかないわ。では次の日曜日の午後7時にレオポルドで。
And was that the same time? Did you give it... yeah. You just gave it in 24-hour time. Yep.
マリアちゃんによろしくね。
No?
連れてきてもいいんだぜ。
あの子の前でお金の話はやめて。
He set the receiver down with a clunk, a little violently. Apparently, either Eva or Rudolph had gotten a hold of one of Krauss's weak points, or perhaps both of them. They would probably threaten him with that of the next family conference and force him to pay up. Even before hearing the details, she knew full well it would be nothing good. But even so, this might be her once-in-a-lifetime chance to pay back her large debts. Rosa took a notebook out of her handbag and started to mark the day she'd be meeting with Rudolph and Eva. Then she frowned and smacked herself hard on the forehead. Written there was DZL with Maria, something she had planned to do with her daughter. Maria was in her room, playing around excitedly with Sakataro and the others. Is this? No, this isn't when she rips apart Sakataro. That was when she was away and then came back and got called by police, yes. That was because she was going to that recently built amusement park. Disneyland. The following Sunday. Looking at the clock, Rosa saw it was just past 9 that night. Maria was breaking the lights out rule. Covering her face and agonizing for a while, Rosa stood up and stomped over to Maria's room. I get the feeling she's going to use this as an excuse to cancel the not Disneyland trip. Rosa. The room would probably be a mess as well. At least tonight that was convenient. As she stood outside the door to Maria's room, listening to the happy laughter seeping through, Rosa's face twisted in anguish once again, and she looked at the floor. Then, when she raised her head again, her brow was furrowed, and her face had become an ugly expression of anger. Right. Could have at least been honest with her. He had something he needed to do. I mean, you keep laying and everything, but to blame it on her. The weather wasn't that great. Yeah, I say she could have been honest, but the amount of times that she's been dishonest and delayed things and he's presumably never actually go through with the plans. According to the weekend forecast, a certain tropical cyclone would likely grow into a large typhoon. If unhappy premonitions tended to be right, this year's family conference will probably take place in absolutely horrible weather. No. I wish a typhoon large enough to stop all boat travel would seal Rokkenjima away forever. Oh no. If that happened, I'd be able to hide Kinzo's death as long as I wanted.
台風が彼らを永遠に遠ざけてくれればいいのに。
No, it will be just long enough for them to get onto the island and never leave again. Natsui let out a deep sigh. Just doing that made her headache throb. As the day of the family conference approached, the intensity of her headaches just kept on increasing. At that time, the phone rang. Natsui turned the TV off and picked up the receiver.
はい。
I read ahead too quickly.
お休みのところ申し訳ございません。源氏でございます。
何事ですか。
奥様に外線からお電話でございます。
From?
ですが、名前をお名乗りになられません。
I'm wondering if this is related to the bank stuff that we got last episode?
名乗らない。
はい。先方は話せばわかるとは申しておりますが、いかがしますか。いたずらかもしれません。
どんな相手です。
おそらく若い男性ではないかと。お心当たりはございませんか。
若い男性。
So you didn't have a clue who that might be. In the first place, there was no one amongst their acquaintances who would do something as rude as refusing to state their name. And on top of that, a young man? As a wife, she must avoid any contact that might be considered suspicious with anyone other than her husband, much less a young man. As soon as she thought this, the phone call suddenly seemed like something dirty. Despite that, she also wanted to know what they had wanted to tell her. Could it be some kind of trouble related to Krause's business? What if there's a particular reason they need to talk to Krause's wife instead of Krause directly? No matter what it is, it's my duty as a wife to listen and report to Krause. If it's some bizarre threat, I just have to firmly refuse and inform Krause that I received such a phone call. If it's something offensive, I'll just have to tell Kenji to never send me anonymous calls again. As Natsui thought this, just as Genji was suggesting that he hang up on the man, as though that's what she'd naturally choose, she told him to connect her to this person. He then set the receiver down. After a short while, the phone rang again.
もしもし。
It wasn't the internal line. It was the external phone line, which Genji had redirected to her. So it should already have been connected directly with the mysterious man. However, the person on the other end didn't respond. Not liking this at all, Natsui spoke one more time, sounding displeased.
もしもし。誰ですか。名を名乗りなさい。
He heard something that sounded like a sigh. Gulped reflexively. Remaining silent a little longer, the man finally answered. Is this what selects who does the murders, perhaps? Is this like the Rule X or whatever it was in Higurashi? That was the first time the man had spoken. That sounds like Battler. Huh? Now, what is this about? Now, I talked about Nox last time, I think. One of the rules is that, well, it can't be the detective, but it also can't be someone whose thoughts we've seen. What was it? The criminal must be, so number one, the criminal must be someone mentioned in the early part of a story, but must not be anyone whose thoughts the reader has been allowed to follow. All supernatural or preternatural agencies are ruled out as a matter of course. I am going to scratch that one out for this one, for Umineko series, because we have the precedent for it. It's the whole point of the question. Not more than one secret room or passage is allowable. Again, you've got some wiggle room there. Yeah. No hitherto undiscovered poisons may be used, nor any appliance which will need a long scientific explanation at the end. Yeah. That one's basically, don't try to be clever and then that's not going to be interesting to read. No Chinaman must figure into the story. Basically, don't be racist. That's my favourite rule. So yeah, at the time there was a lot of blaming things on the Chinese worker. Anyway. And then, skipping forwards a bit, number 7, the detective must not himself commit the crime. Now, there is some caveats. If So someone who's pretending to be a detective, for example, that's perfectly allowable. Anyway, how long has it been?
一体何年ぶりかな。
What is this about?
何の話です？あなたは誰ですか？
The voice certainly did sound like a young man's. But it's hard to learn much about someone just by their voice over the phone. Back then it would have been analog signals, right? Rather than digital signals. So you actually get a lot more clarity out of the sound, because you're not compressing it with like the digital stuff. Sounds like a young man, but it might actually be a middle school aged boy. Or a man in his prime who still had a youngish voice. No wait, it might be too soon to be sure this is even a male. However, one thing was certain. Natsui could think of no one who would speak to her in an overly familiar manner like this.
俺が誰かを名乗るのは簡単さ。だが、それでは俺があまりに悲しい。
Why Natsui?
何を言っているのか分かりかねます。あなたは誰ですか？そして私に何の用ですか？
I am... Why? Confused why?
それが言えないなら興味はありません。切りますよ。
俺の望みはあんたに思い出してもらうことだ。
Now this does seem to be echoing what we heard last episode. The end, Battler's crime thing he had to remember.
何を思い出せというのですか？あなたなど知りませんし、思い出すような心当たりもありません。
そんなこと言うなよ。俺はあんたの子供じゃないか。
I'm... What? I'm trying to remember immediately. First thing that I immediately went to try to remember is end of last episode when they resolved Battler not being what's her name's son. But he was still the grandson of Kinzo. That was established. But was it that Rudolph was his father? Or is... And there's a whole thing of, like, ever wanting a child first of it, because, Natsui hadn't had any children, and so everyone was trying to raise George to be the successor, to be named successor instead. And Natsui had Jessica. Oh. What? I guess we keep listening?
何ですって？あなたは何を言っているんです？
Just something that's not actually happened?
そんな悲しいことを言うなよ。母さん。
That unsettling word thrust itself mercilessly into the depths of Natsui's heart and started churning it about. Unless he's talking in some other sense? I mean, you'd think that she'd remember giving birth. In her entire life, Natsui had never been told something so unsettling. In her bewilderment, Natsui felt her heartbeat so loudly that it felt like it would explode.
あなたに母と呼ばれる覚えはありません。何のつもりか知りませんが、もう切りますよ。
俺は復讐するために帰ってきたんだ。あんた19年前の
Again, adventure of crime of 19 years ago. Or, no, it wasn't 19 years ago for Battler. Was it? Maybe. And from beyond the wind howling outside the window, she most certainly heard the roar of the sea from that day.
あんた本当はもう思い出してる。
Oh!
何の話かわからないと言っています。
Is perhaps more things have changed each time than we think? Maybe, because I remember last time, I think Rosa mentioned that she met Beatrice, and as we were climbing, like, across the cliff face or something, Beatrice had fallen down and died? What if we're getting something similar, but Beatrice has... Natsui's killed her this time? Or, alternatively, they all have memories about... no, that doesn't seem right. But they all have memories of meeting Beatrice and her dying. But no, that doesn't fit in with some other things. Anyway, I'm going to get to the end of this line.
もう二度とかけないでください。
That definitely sounds like someone who has no idea what you're talking about. In any case, on that absolute bombshell, I'm going to be ending it there for today. I hope you've all enjoyed. Let me know any thoughts you have in the comments. I am just completely discombobulated here. And then until next time, see ya!